Okay, I'm just setting up the live stream. Almost there. So today we have the Boeing 777 sat in front of us on the ground at Providence, Rhode Island, available from Inibuilds. And we're going to be flying over to Toronto to put the PMDG 777-300ER through its paces in Flight Simulator 2024. So I logged in this morning and discovered that the PMDG 777-300ER had just been released for 2024. I previously owned it for 2020, so it was available directly in the app. So I'm just going to go and show you that. So if I type in PMDG OC3, which is their management app, you can now see we have 3 variants of the 777 available in 2024 versions. There's the 777F, which is the freight variant, the 300ER and the 200ER. So I had previously bought this variant for 2020 and it's automatically available at no extra cost in 2024. So that's really good to see. Okay. So we're going to close down the management app. Actually, this is a good point. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you install the 777 in Flight Simulator? Because they had put it in the community folder and it didn't work for whatever reason. Whether they had done that incorrectly or not, I don't know. Where they got a copy of it from, I don't know. I'm not going to get involved in that. But what I did tell them is both Inibuilds and PMDG these days use the app to install the aircraft. So I'm not going to get involved in quite where they sourced their files from, but it's all done for you. If you buy it from the proper place and just follow the instructions in the app, it installs itself. How they managed to download it, and again, I'm not going to go too far into this, but how they managed to acquire a copy of the aircraft files is up to them. Anyway, we have the PMDG 777-300ER in front of us. We're going to go and have a look around it with the drone camera. It's a bit of a monster. Parked at Rhode Island. It's probably a bit big to be taking off here in this aeroplane. But we're just going to go and have a wander around it in the drone camera just to give you some idea of scale. This thing is an absolute beast. I mean, look. That's the taxiway, or the access road. We don't fit. If you compare it to the size of the other aeroplanes, they look like dinky toys compared to it, don't they? So it's quite amusing, really. But seeing as we're doing such a short flight, we're not going to be too heavy. We're not going to be carrying too much fuel, so we shouldn't have too long a takeoff run. So it should be fine. So if you've not seen the PMDG 777s before for any reason, I'll have a little look around it with a drone camera to show you it. They are wonderfully modelled and they're very kind on frame rate. I don't quite know how PMDG have managed that, but they're pretty good. But yeah, look at the detail. It's mad, isn't it? So let's have a look around inside the cabin. It's really nicely modelled. So we've got the first class, obviously, up the front end. Then you've got premium, I'm guessing, or is this more of the same? Looks like more of the same to me. And then you've got the economy seats. There's a lot of them, isn't there? This aircraft carries a lot of people. And obviously all the various deck galleys along the aircraft. And then there's the crew area. So I think I'm right in saying that these little side doors here or some of them Yeah, I think it's these ones at the sides in the middle. They're not toilets, they're stairs. And they go up, and it won't be modelled in here, but the on long-haul flights, the crew have sleeping bunks above the passenger area. And there's various places to get into them. I think, oh, that might be one of the toilets, I'm not sure. I think that's one of the stairways there. And there might be another one up at the pilot end of the cockpit as well. Is it going to be an access door? That will be the access door that goes up the stairs. Or a ladder even. Yeah, it's very cool, isn't it? So there's our pilots for the day. I've got a baseball cap on apparently. And we've got the usual co-pilot with me. We've both got fairly smart uniforms on. So should we go and get the airplane up and running? Let's go and get rid of this drone camera. Put it back down on the ground down here. So if I press Shift and X, we're back in the normal view of the aircraft. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be following my own functional procedure to start the airplane up. I'm going to give you a brief look at it. So you can get it from Ko-fi.com, and I've linked it in the notes of the video. It looks like this. It runs for something like, what does it say, 14 pages. It's actually getting bigger and bigger, but that's because there's more to look at inside the aircraft. They've got the walk around, then there's the configuring the aircraft for cold and dark. So when you first install the 777 series of aircraft in Flight Simulator, they are, or any of the PMDGs, they are set in a running state, and you can go through the FMC to go and reprogram it to start up in a cold and dark state. So that's exactly what I'm showing you how to do here. There's SimBrief integration. It shows you how to set up the Navigraph integration as well to go and install the nav data, because the 777 specifically, you install the nav data from Navigraph if you have a Navigraph subscription directly into the aircraft, not via the Navigraph tools. And then it goes into the procedure. So you can see it's got all the keyboard shortcuts, places to look, things to press, and so on all the way through. And it covers both manual programming of flight plans and using the SimBrief integration. So today, just to keep things nice and short, we're going to use the SimBrief integration. But I'm going to close this out of the way. I've actually got another computer sat here alongside. I have got a second document. I just closed it right in front of you actually, which is a quick reference guide to the flight management computer about how to do all the common sorts of things you might want to do, like, you know, programming it fully manually, manipulating the flight plan, drawing range rings on the navigation display, drawing vector lines on the navigation display, all sorts of things that are quite handy to know. Okay, let's go and check volume levels before we get going. I've also got SayIntentions running in the background. We'll use a radio or air traffic control along the way. So we're going to be flying to Toronto. So just before we get going then, I'm going to get my second screen ready with the instructions to start the airplane up. So Shift and 6 takes us overhead, and we can turn the batteries on. In fact, I'm going to go and turn the volume level right the way up inside the airplane so you hear all the sounds. Batteries are on, ground power. So we need to go and press Shift and 9, which will take us over to the tablet. Go to the ground operations and request, not the air start unit, we want the ground power unit. And you get this little box showing up. If we look outside the airplane now, you will see it's actually really small, but there's a little cable there round to a unit that's just stood at the front of the airplane. So then Shift and 6 will take us overhead, and we can go and put the primary external power on and the secondary external power on. Then we can rotate the auxiliary power unit switch to start, and it'll fall back to on its own, and that will start firing up the APU, which gives us electrical power and also compressed air to spin the engines up in a bit. So we're going to go and turn Adiru on, that's the initial reference unit, and then the window heats can come on to warm up the windows. The IFE passenger seats and cabin utility switches can come on. And then the emergency lights can be armed. So that's just up here, and we'll cover it up. And passenger oxygen is next, so we uncage passenger oxygen and turn it on and recage it. So now we're into programming the flight plan. Before we do that, let's go and talk to air traffic control. That's really bright, isn't it? Dim that down a bit. Okay, so we're going to make our first call to ATC. We want to be on the clearance channel. We are virtual 073 today, and we're going to be talking to Providence clearance to get our filed clearance with SimBrief, remember, to Toronto. So before we do that, we need the ATIS information. So let's go to ATIS.
State Airport. Information Romeo.
Information Zulu.
1351 Zulu.
Okay, so we go back to clearance. Providence clearance, virtual 073 with information Zulu requesting clearance to Toronto as filed.
Clearance on request, stand by.
So hopefully they'll come back to us in a moment. One of the nice things about SayIntentions is instead of having to scribble down what they say on a bit of paper, you can actually read what they've said here and read it back from what they've said. You get a transcript.
Virtual 073, cleared to Toronto. Radar vectors Putnam, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3000. Expect flight level 32010 minutes after departure. Departure on 123.675, squawk 5262. Expect runway 5.
Radar vectors to the Putnam VOR, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3000. Expect flight level 32010 minutes after departure. Departure on 123.675, squawk 5262. Expect runway 5, virtual 073. So we're doing the read back so they can confirm you've got
virtual
the instructions.
073, read back correct.
Okay, so now we've got all the time in the world before we go back down to ground to start doing anything. So we'll go and switch to the ground frequency in a moment. Let's put this on radio check just to keep it quiet for the moment. And so we want to go and set our transponder to 5262. That's one of the first things we're going to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this flight with us at. We're thrilled to be flying you to Toronto. Please take your seats according to your boarding
I might
passes
go and turn
stow
off
your hand luggage in the overhead bins or under the seats in front of you. If you need any assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to our wonderful crew members, including myself, Caroline, and my colleagues Jake, Emily, Sarah, and Tom. We're here to help you. Thank you for choosing us today.
The reason we've got that happening is we've got the cabin crew on SayIntentions on one of the intercom channels. I'll leave it on. It's a bit of fun to have in the background, isn't it? So 5262 is the transponder code. We don't need it switched on just yet. We're just going to go and tune it in. We don't need to talk to departures yet either. We are initially going to put 3,000 feet in, but let's go and do the flight plan first. We can always come back to those notes later. So we go to the FMC page. And we're going to go down to the SimBrief route. So over to the tablet first. Go to the EFB app, request the data from SimBrief, and there we go. So we've got the route. And you can see it there, going from Providence over to Toronto. Okay, so then we can go over to the weight and balance app. Oh, it's in here, isn't it? No, it isn't. Weight and balance. And we can import the weight and balance from SimBrief. Then we can go over to the performance tool. And we can import from the OFP. and then we can select the runway we're taking off from. So let's go and have a look. Runway 05, they already told us that, didn't they, on the clearance? So we're taking off runway 05, which gives us the rest of the information. Then we can import from the aircraft. Then we can import the weather. And finally we can calculate, and that gives us all of our numbers for the systems in the aircraft. Okay, so then we can press Shift and 3 and we can come over to the flight management computer. And we're going to go and initialize position, so we'll clear out the message, go to position initialization, go to next page, pick up the GPS, go previous page, drop that into set inertial position, and then this is giving the a reference point to the inertial navigation system, or INS. Let me put in reference airport, so we are at KPVD, so KPVD, Kilo Papa Victor Delta, and then go route, and again we key again KP. We shouldn't actually need to do that, we can just do route request, I think. Let's just do it. Route request. So it's got SimBrief KPVD to CYYZ, which is good. So then we say select route, and it's requesting the route. And when it comes up, we'll press the load soft key. So we just wait for it. Here it comes. Route uplink, and we load it. It says route 1 uplink loading. So then we can clear the messages. So you can see activate has now appeared at the right hand side. We'll activate and execute. And then we can go to the performance initialization soft key, and we can click 0 fuel weight, and it should work it out for us, and it has done. And we can accept the performance initialization data, and that calculates the rest. Then we can go to thrust limit and have a look here, and that's all fine. Go to takeoff. So we need to put flaps in for takeoff, so we can go and refer back to the takeoff calculator, flaps 5. Okay, so shift 3 brings us back. So key 5 into the scratch pad, drop that on. The center of gravity should work itself out, and it does. That gives us a trim of 3.5. I think it's automatic in this aircraft, but we'll just check it. It's on 4 at the moment. We can't do anything with that until we've got hydraulics up and running. And we've got the numbers. We haven't put the departure runway in, so it hasn't calculated any of the V speeds. So, or it shouldn't have anyway. So if we go departure, and we're taking off runway 05, and execute that, there isn't a SID. Come back to index, we go to arrival into Toronto. Let's go and have a look at the flight plan. So the Ling 3 star, and then the 06 right, ILS 06 right, and Ling 3. There's no transitions involved, is there? There's nothing on here about them, but we'll see what happens when we get to the other end. So we'll execute that, and then if we go back into Inibuilds, we've got the numbers calculated now because we've told it which runway we're taking off from. So we can select each one to confirm it, and that's basically that done. If we go and look in the legs page, we'll go and see if there's any discontinuities. We can also do a gross flight plan check while we're at it. So if we rotate the navigation screen round to plan mode, it puts us in the middle on the marker for center, and then we can press the step button to come through. Let's go and increase the range as well, so we get a bit more context about the route. It's actually obeying the, it's only showing 40 miles, isn't it? Maybe it's got a limit. Oh, there it is working now. It was just me. I think the line is an optical illusion of where the line was lining up to. Let's put it back on 40 miles. Step, 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 step. And now we got WASI and then a gap. So you can see there's a discontinuity from WASI to Ling. So we're going to, should we go and double check that? Let's go and open Navigraph. We've got a comment about saying as filed in the live stream comments. Yeah, it's a bad habit on my part, but also it's because in the early days of SayIntention, it was a good way of prompting it to know that I was talking about SimBrief. It may no longer be needed to do that. Anyway, so let's go and have a look. So yeah, there's this area here, look, this is the discontinuity. Oh, this is the wrong flight plan, sorry, import flight from SimBrief. And it's this one. There we go. So there, this part here, there was obviously a WASI option. So we're just going to, it goes from WASI straight to Ling anyway, so we're just going to close it up. There would have been a transition option probably that we could have put in to tidy that up, but we've done that now. So if we go step, step, and we can reduce the range down. That's a bug. It's not agreeing. Anyway. It's not a destructive bug, it's just an annoying one. So then we've got a bit of a racetrack to come into the runway. So if we go and put that ILS in here, select ILS 04, wasn't it? Or was it? Let's go and check. No, 06 right. ILS runway 06 right. Final add. So there's some vector work going on here for us to sort out. Although this is saying, yeah, it's got the same thing here, look. So if we go step, 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 you'll see a discontinuity again in a moment. Oh, we got vectors, yeah, so it says vectors. Which is that, you know, you're expecting as you come along here for ATC to give you instruction to make the turn back towards the final approach. So that's all good, that's fine. We don't go and cut that out of our plan, we leave it there, and we'll just go selected mode at the final part of the flight plan. Okay, let's put this back on map mode and turn the range down for departure so we can actually see it. It's interesting, look, it's not anticipating. Should we go and add to the flight plan slightly? I did put runway 05 in, didn't I? So it's interesting that's cutting that straight off. So it's saying go straight for Putnam, but it's got no... See, now you can, on the Boeing FMCs, you can put custom waypoints in to give yourself more of a turning angle, for example. So let's go File. I'm just going to load this into little Navmap to show you what I'm talking about. So if I open this from SimBrief, download, create the flight plan. So if we come down here, yeah, look. So little Navmap has put a kind of a 4 or 5 mile extension in here. We could put this Hasbro into the flight plan to give us a few miles before we turn, or even do it as soon as here, look, WIVPA. So if we were to do that ahead of the Putnam VOR, we'll put in WIVPA. So we're just going to manipulate the flight plan ever so slightly. And all we've done is that, yeah, so it's not understanding obviously with the speeds, but it will sort itself out while we're flying, I would imagine. Okay. What else do we need to do? We've done everything on the FMC. We've got the departure and arrival programmed in. We've done the performance data. We've done the legs and checked through them and done a gross flight plan check. So we're going to go up to the mode control panel now for the autopilot. Turn the flight directors on. calibrate the altimeters, so I'll press comma to make that happen. Set the initial climb altitude. They said 3,000 feet, didn't they? We could set this to go in thousands. Should we do it? Is it going to let us? There we go. Set the initial heading to the runway direction. We don't actually need to because we're going to be going. It's a nicety, really. It's a fallback. So what I'm talking about here is if you come back to the airport, we're taking off runway 05, aren't we? Which is this one. So runway heading is actually 47 degrees. So what we're going to do is change the heading bug to 47. We won't be using it. We'll be using nav mode. But we're going to set that as a, you can see it says heading select, but what we can also do, because we've got a fully configured flight plan and we've got inertial navigation switched on already, we can go LNAV and it will do both. So I've explained this before. People say, oh, you don't need to use heading select, you can just use LNAV. This is kind of a safeguard, so it will favour heading select until it attains the track, and then it will go LNAV automatically. You can do the same with the vertical speed and VNAV. So we can set a vertical speed for our climb out to 3,000 feet of, say, 2,000 feet a minute maybe, or 1,800 feet, whatever you want to set it as. So say we said 2,000 feet a minute until we get to 3,000. But you can see that here doing vertical speed. You can also do VNAV on top of it. So it will switch to VNAV as soon as it can safely do so. Okay, that's that done. So auto brake needs to go to rejected takeoff, so that goes and pressurizes all of the systems up, ready to stick the brakes on at max power if we need to in a hurry. Central pedestal, we're going to go down to the transponder now, and it's, for some reason, even in cold and dark, it starts up in TARA for the TCAS. I'm going to put that to standby for the moment, but we're also going to say this is on norm, that's on norm. So that's all good at the moment. And we're going to prepare for pushback and engine start. So overhead, we're going to go and turn the, if I can find the switches for it, the no smoking and the seatbelt signs. Seatbelts auto, no smoking auto. We're going to go and put the beacon light on because we're going to be starting the engines fairly soon. That's right here. And put the pumps on for the fuel. So you can see we've got hydraulic pumps here, we've got fuel pumps here. So we turn all 4 switches on. I don't think we've got any fuel in the centre tanks, otherwise they would be lit up. And the next thing to do, whoa, I've gone and switched on. Did I just do that? Yeah. So shift and 6, where's the switches for the... I have accidentally gone and turned on the wiper. There it is. So we're going to request permission for pushback and engine start from ground. So we're going to go and change frequencies now over to ground. Providence ground, virtual 073, requesting pushback and engine start.
Virtual 073, pushback and engine start approved, tail northeast.
Pushback and engine start approved, tail northeast, virtual 073. So let's go and have a look at where we are. So tail needs to be to the northeast, so in other words tail to the right as we push back. So in order for pushback to happen, we need to release the parking brake. And for that to happen, ooh, we got a problem with the controls here. Let me go and reseat. So toe brakes on, and that's sorted that out. So we can now, you have to hold the toe brakes on to release the parking brake in the 777. So then we're going to press Alt and P. Oh, we need to go and remove the chocks and the ground power. I'm kind of rushing things here a little bit. So ground operations before the truck gets on us. So release the ground power, remove the chocks, otherwise we won't be going anywhere. And we also need to be ready on the ground operations to make the tail go the right way. Oh, you don't get to control it, do you, in PMDGs? But it's going the right way anyway. Awesome. So I think it will take us out to about 45-degree delta from the building. Yeah, we really don't fit in this airport, do we? It's quite amusing, really. So we're going to have to...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this flight with us at our virtual airline. We're thrilled to be flying you to Toronto. Please take your seats according to your boarding passes and stow your hand luggage in the overhead bins or under the seats in front of you. If you need any assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to our wonderful crew members, including myself, Caroline, and my colleagues Jake, Emily, Sarah, and Tom. We're here to help you. Now let me introduce our flight crew, Captain Jonathan and First Officer.
So I put the parking brake back on.
As we prepare for takeoff, I'd like to go over some important safety information.
Come on, mouse wheel is playing up.
First, to fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal tip into the...
Okay, so we're going to go through now the startup procedure for the engines.
We recommend keeping your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated, just in case we experience any unexpected turbulence. In the unlikely event of a loss of cabin pressure,
okay, so overhead, it's a little bit simplified over some of the other aeroplanes. You can just go start up here now. And if we go and look down here, you will see that the numbers are coming up. You don't have to wait for the fuel control in the 777. You can just advance it and the engines will come up on their own. I'm going to do them one at a time just to keep an eye on them. I think you have to still do them one at a time in the 777 because it's using compressed air from the APU. Some of the things like the E-jets have electric starters and you can do both engines at the same time in those. So we're being asked if this aeroplane's available in the Xbox marketplace. I don't know. I don't have an Xbox, so I can't help you with that. The previous version, maybe. Okay, so it will come up saying Avail, I think. I can't remember. I get muddled up between the different aeroplanes, I'm afraid. Okay, so that's engine number 2. And now we go and do engine number 1. So the switch was up here, wasn't it? So you'll see N2 is coming up. That's the spinning up the gas turbine. So that's the compressed air is being used to do that. So then you can see when the fuel comes in and ignites, the exhaust gas temperature will increase and the speed of the turbofan will increase as the thrust from the engine spins it up. There we go, look. This will suddenly shoot through the roof when it ignites properly. There it goes. And then it will calm down again. I'm just going to check my levers here. Yeah, they're working. So post engine start we can go overhead and we can turn off the APU. Why did we just get a warning? Got the... we're going to go and put the... oh, interesting. This has changed. Oh no, it was on auto. It was my bad. The packs are what manage the cooling inside the cabin, or heating inside the cabin even as well, and air pressurization. So environmental control system. So APU cool down, auto brake, RTO, doors manual, TCAS is off. So let's go and turn TCAS to TA mode for the moment. Whoops. If I can use my mouse wheel, I saw this the other evening. I need to replace my mouse. The mouse wheel is giving spurious signals to the computer. It's a bit of a pain. So that's now working correctly. We can press the TFC to switch the range rings on and off. We can show the different modes on that as well. That's good. Okay, so we've got engines started. We're going to request taxi now from ground. So we're departing runway 5, yeah. Providence ground, virtual 073, requesting taxi to runway 05. So I imagine it's going to be Victor, Tango, Mike 1. Did that work? Okay, I've seen this before. This is the button is not working on the controls. So headset. Interesting. I appear to have no... It's because I pulled the controller earlier, wasn't it? And it's lost the signal from it. So what I'm going to do... This is a failing of SayIntentions, by the way. I'm going to close SayIntentions and reopen it. I've had this happen before. I pulled the joystick, remember? And it's got the button on it that I used to key the tower. So it's come back fine, and yeah, I can key it now, look. So we're good. Providence ground, virtual 073, requesting taxi to runway 05.
Virtual 073, taxi to runway 5 via Tango, Echo Mike 1.
Taxi to runway 5 via Tango, Echo Mike and Mike 1, virtual 073. That's exactly what we said, wasn't it? Tango. Okay, where's Tango Echo? Where the hell's Echo? Tango, Mike. See? Wonder if they have a different map than we have. So it's Mike 1 anyway. So we'll just stay on Tango then. I was hoping they'd tell us to go to Victor, because I'm not sure if we'll clear some of those tails, but we'll see how we go. Parking brake off. It's okay, I just realised I hadn't configured my controls correctly. This is interesting actually. I'm going to go and turn head tracking off before we start taxiing. Put the parking brake back on. We're going backwards. Let's have a look outside the aeroplane. Why were we rolling backwards? I thought it was to do with a throttle configuration issue, but the engines are not going into reverse. Okay, let's turn the parking brake back off then. Look at that. It's the pushback, isn't it? It's a bug in the sim. I've just cancelled pushback and it stopped doing it. There we go. Is this Sim Update 3? No. This is Sim Update 2. I'd never use the betas. Or I have never done so far. This should make everybody smile. I had an interesting scam email this morning from NVIDIA. I get offers quite often from hardware and software makers asking if they can get me to show stuff on the channel. And I got an email that appeared to be from NVIDIA, and it looked realistic. And at first glance, I actually thought, oh, this is interesting. They were offering to send me a 5 Series card to have a play with, to show people the difference between, you know, with their newer technology, with the bleeding edge stuff. And I looked at it and I thought, this doesn't seem right somehow. And then I looked, and although it said it was from NVIDIA, when you actually dug in and looked at the sender address of what appeared to be an NVIDIA name, it wasn't. It was some Slovakian email provider with a random email address behind it. But it looked for all the world like an official NVIDIA email. And it looked at first glance as if it was coming from NVIDIA. It was only when I started digging into it I realized it wasn't. Can I show my Boeing throttle settings? Well, I've got the Airbus throttle quadrant, the Thrustmaster one. I haven't got a Boeing throttle. So all I've got is the throttle set not on their normal axis. So I haven't done anything special with the throttles. And there is no calibration in the tablet for throttles on the PMDGs. They just use whatever your controls are set to. So I've got one of my axes set to the engine number 1, and one of my axes set to engine number 2. So there's nothing special going on there. Let's see what the volume levels are like, because I'm aware that we did turn it up earlier. Okay, it's actually not too bad. So we're just going to taxi down to the holding point for runway 05.
Providence ground, Archer 33121, runway 3, taxiway Charlie. Request taxi to general aviation parking.
Archer 33121, Theodore Francis, Green State ground taxi to general. Viation parking via Charlie Foxtrot Delta, have a good day.
Taxi to general aviation parking via Charlie Foxtrot Delta. Have a great day, Archer 33121. Providence Tower, good afternoon. Endeavour 5388 requesting taxi to gate 61.
So we need to go and set the flaps to the correct angle, wasn't it? 5 degrees. Yeah, that's correct. And if we have a quick look at the map, M1 is right down at the far end. We need the whole runway. So I should have put the taxi light on and I haven't, so that's on me for not having done that. We're going to go and put the strobes on and the landing lights when we get into the runway, but we're going to hold short first because we've been given clearance to the runway. We should get a call in a moment from ground if they're being really proactive. If not, we're going to switch. It's not incumbent upon ground to transfer us over. It's on us really to go to tower. Providence Tower, virtual 073, holding short runway 05 for departure to Toronto.
Virtual 73 Providence Tower, runway 5, wind 050 at 11, fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 05, fly runway heading 073.
Virtual 073 negative, fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff, runway 05.
That's what I just said. You sometimes get these bumps in the road with AI. It's quite amusing when it happens, when it misinterprets what you've just said. Still not quite as good as humans. So you can see it's giving a checklist incomplete warning over there. The reason for that, let me just pop the parking brake on, I'll show you it. If you go checklist, it comes up on here. I'll turn the head tracking off so we can do this easily. Get rid of the caution, because that's what it's warning us about. So if you go to normal menu, normally in the normal course of operations you would go pre-flight, and yes, so yeah, we did that, and then we would go before start, and we did all of these things.
Providence Tower, Alpha Juliet 75 is...
We didn't go back and set the trim, did we? It was 3.5, wasn't it?
En route to Boston.
So I'm going to go and move the trim while we're here.
Alpha Juliet 75, maintain VFR own navigation.
So it's a good job that we came in here, so we spotted that. Anti-ice,
Maintain VFR own
flight
navigation,
controls,
Alpha
ground
Juliet
equipment, that's all
75.
done. And before takeoff checklist, flaps are done.
Alpha
So
Juliet 75,
you should find out now the warning's gone away.
VFR, frequency change approved.
So over here we're going to go and put the landing lights on. We're going to go and turn the strobes on now we're on the runway. And go and release that parking brake again. So we have to release the manual one here on my controls, then we can hold the toe brakes and it will release it. And we are good to go. So let's go turn the head tracking on as well, so we can keep an eye on things. So we're watching for the VR. Look, we are so light. Look at us accelerate. Gear up. So we'll leave the flaps at 5 degrees until we've made this turn. Although the plane is accelerating so hard. Contacting departure, virtual 073. So where's the departure frequency? There it is. Providence departures, virtual 073, departing runway 05, as filed to Toronto.
Virtual 73, Providence departure, radar contact, climb and maintain flight level 320, turn left heading 280, vectors to Putnam, then own navigation.
Climb to flight level 320, direct vectors to Putnam, then own navigation, virtual 073. So we're going to go for 320 straight away. Let's turn the head tracking off so we can do this quickly and easily. Look at that, the mouse is going absolutely haywire. That's my mouse, not the sim. Okay, so we've selected it. So the VNav is going in speed mode now. So we can get rid of the checklist off the screen. The flaps are already up, the gear is up. Increase the range on the navigation display so we can see what's coming. There's Putnam about just under 20 miles out. Got the green banana showing when we're going to get to flight level 320. Shall we look outside? Wonder what the outside air temperature, that is like pea soup, isn't it? Can't see a thing. So just reading the comment, Philip has said in the live stream comments, didn't you realise you could click on the frequencies in SayIntentions? Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's a huge time saver. So let's go and increase the range over on the co-pilot side so we can see what's going on.
Piper 308 Juliet Tango would like to cancel IFR and go VFR.
Piper 308 Juliet Tango, roger. Radar services terminated. Squawk VFR. Frequency change approved.
Roger 308 Juliet Tango. Frequency change approved.
Coming through 10,000 feet.
VFR.
So the landing lights come off. We're in the US, so 18,000 feet for transition altitude. At which point we'll go to standard barometric pressure and we'll be on our way.
Dear guests, we are now above the safe altitude, and I'm pleased to inform you that you may now use your electronic devices. Just a gentle reminder to keep them in airplane mode, okay? Also, our onboard Wi-Fi service is now available for you to enjoy during the flight. If you have any questions or need assistance, feel free to ask any of our crew members. Thank you.
See, as the captain, I can talk to the cabin crew as well on the intercom, and I can ask them for coffee. Hi, can you bring a coffee in for myself and the co-pilot, please?
Of course, Captain. I'll bring in a coffee for you and the co-pilot right away.
It's great, isn't it? See, we can have co-pilot in the cockpit with us as well. So if I've not really tried this. If we go into intercom, we can say channel. We've got cabin crew on channel 2. Instead of the mentor on channel 1, let's ask for a co-pilot, and we can choose who it's going to be. So various different ones. So let's go for Sandra Anderson. Okay. Hi Sandra, how is the aircraft looking?
Everything's looking good, Jonathan. Systems are normal and we're on track.
She sounds like Jen from the IT crowd. Okay, we're coming up towards 18,000 feet remarkably quickly.
Virtual 073, contact Boston Center on 133.425.
Does that do that? Oh, they did both sides. Good. Contacting Boston Center 133.425, virtual 073. Good day. Boston Center, virtual 073, with you climbing to flight level 320.
Virtual 73, Boston Center, good morning.
Okay, so we've got some time now. And we've just entered Boston Center. Let's go and have a look at the... Actually, is there a chart in here that will show the sectors on it? You might be in luck. It'll be an EFB, won't it? I would have thought. Navigraph charts. Has it not got a world map? Maybe it doesn't. Oh, okay. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? There we go. So, KZBW, is that Boston?
United 2023, contact Boston approach on 118.25.
Yeah, so we've just left departures and we're talking to Boston now, which is the sector radar. So we've got a little while until we go into, we'll go through KZOB, I wonder what sector that is. Let's have a look. So if you look on little nav map and turn the sectors on.
Cessna 123 Alpha Zulu Boston Center, say again your request.
Cleveland. And then we'll cross over into Toronto airspace for the approach. But top of descent looks like it's going to be not far past Rochester. Okay. And we are still in thick cloud at 23,000 feet. I do pick the days to do this, don't I? An unintentional, completely IFR flight. Let's see what we can do with the co-pilot then, see if we can ask her some questions. Can you get me a speed check from the sector ATC?
I can't handle that request, Jonathan.
I'm sorry, that is just off-putting in the extreme. I'm going to change the character of the co-pilot. So, it's in here, isn't it? Intercom. So let's go for Amanda Sorsby. Hi Amanda, how is the flight looking so far?
Flight's looking smooth, Jonathan. We're on track for Toronto, cruising at 32,000 feet. No issues so far.
No, we're not. We're climbing to 32,000 feet. Okay, let's go and have a play with some of the systems while we're here. So we're going to put this on progress mode over on the... Oh, we have to go to FMC first, don't we? And then progress. And over here we've got legs, so we can get route data as well. So it's showing you the fuel burn down along the way, which is always useful. So this is predicting we'll still have 19 tons of fuel when we get to Toronto. So we're not going to have any problems. And if you have a read through, we've got some restrictions along the way, look, as we come in. So we'll go and review that in a moment. If we go and what's the nicest place to look at that? Probably Navigraph. Let's go and get rid of the chart out of the way. Yeah, look, the mouse wheel's really had it, hasn't it? So what we're going to do is pull up the standard terminal arrival chart. Okay, that's fairly straightforward stuff then. And there's a restriction here, or constraint, sorry, between 13 and 11,000 feet at youth and 250 knots at that point. Obviously you're going to be coming through 10,000 feet anyway soon.
Mountain 8310 Boston Center, roger, altimeter 3036.
8,000 at Verco, and follow the instructions, I guess, at that point. Because we'll be given vectors, we'll just follow instructions.
Mountain 8310, roger.
Okay, so you can see us on the map there. So we're going to be on an airway Q935 along here. So we're just climbing out towards the airway. Serene above the clouds. Laying a chemtrail behind us. Also, Brian Crawley has got the PNP7 from Winwing. My dad's just bought a load of MCDU type stuff. So next time I go down, I'll imagine I'll make another video, because his home cockpit is turning into an absolute monster. So we're at flight level 320 now, we're at cruise. So we've got nothing to do for a little while.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our cruising altitude, and I
Go and turn the seatbelts off.
We will now begin our snack and drink service, so keep an eye out for your favourite treats. I highly recommend our delicious chicken salad wrap and the chocolate chip cookies. They're simply delightful. After our service,
quick
you
look.
for your attention and enjoy the flight.
I can never remember in this aeroplane. It's just not second nature to look and see where the seatbelt, there it is. Seatbelts can go. It's on auto, so I guess, I can leave it on auto. It should turn off on its own then. Let's ask Sarah what she can do then. Hi Sarah, what functions can you provide around the cockpit for us? Is she going to respond? Hi Sarah, what functions can you provide around the cockpit?
Hey Jonathan, I handle the radio comms and can provide briefings for departure and arrival.
Okay Sarah, can you take over radio comms for the rest of the flight?
Sure, I'll handle the radio comms from here.
Very cool. So we just can't concentrate on flying the aeroplane and she'll talk to ATC for us and change frequencies, I imagine. Let's ask her. Does that mean you'll be changing frequencies for us as well?
No, we're staying on this frequency unless ATC tells us to change.
Yes, but will you change the frequency or do I have to?
We're on Boston Center frequency 133.425. We can't change frequencies without ATC's permission.
She doesn't understand this question, does she? Ah, Brian is saying she does. That makes our life incredibly lazy. More lazy than it's ever been before. So let's go and change the away from cabin crew. Let's have the mentor in the cockpit with us. And we'll go with Chance and let's ask Chance about it. Hi Chance. Are there many automations that the co-pilot can provide from SayIntentions?
Yes, the autopilot system can handle various tasks based on your intentions. For instance, you can set it to maintain altitude, heading, or even execute a go-around. It's crucial to understand the modes available, like vertical speed or heading select, to optimize your flight management. Always ensure you're familiar with the autopilot's capabilities and limitations for safe operation.
So in other words, we could ask the co-pilot to fly basic vectors, but we obviously have to ask it something sensible, otherwise we'll put ourselves into trouble. I'd heard about the checklist, I've not tried it yet. So you can do the two, the request response going through the checklist where they read out and you confirm as you go. I wonder if it just blindly does it, or if you miss something, if it will pull you up on it. Yeah, I'm jealously looking at the live stream comments about the WinWing controls. They do look incredible, but the thing that stops me is I've never bought hardware that's specific to an aeroplane. Because I fly so many different aeroplanes, it would be a bit of a fool's errand, and it would be a waste of money because, for myself personally, because I fly so many different things. If you love flying the Boeings all the time or the Airbuses, it makes total sense to go and buy the hardware to replicate the real thing, but I don't. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate that they're fantastic bits of kit, and I love what some people have done with them to build their own home cockpits. So Brian's asking, am I still on the co-pilot or the mentor? I've got both. So I've got the co-pilot on one channel and the mentor on the other. And ATC obviously on COM 1. So if you weren't aware, for those that aren't aware, listening, watching, SayIntentions lets you have 3 audio channels simultaneously. You've got your communications radio channel. You've also got 2 intercoms. So, and you can choose what you want on them. And so in this case, I've got the Mentor, which is basically an encyclopedic knowledge, and I've also got the co-pilot on the other intercom. Earlier on, I had the cabin crew. I think the checklists are heavily dependent upon which aeroplane you're in. They're only going to work properly for certain aircraft types. I may be wrong about that. I think that's what I read. So, you know, things like the A320 version 2 will probably work because it comes with the SIM. Maybe the 737 MAX will work, I don't know. Okay, let's go and increase the range on the navigation display so we've got some idea of where we'll be when we get to top of descent. The mouse was going the opposite direction. There we go. So we're about 160 miles out from top of descent.
Control, how do you read United 77?
If we have
United 77, descend and maintain 4,000 feet, altimeter 29.901.
Got a little while until we cross over into Cleveland airspace, so should have some time for me to go grab a coffee. It's a monster, isn't it? It really is. Those engines are a piece of work, aren't they? Is it the Rolls-Royce Trent, isn't it? The giant 777 engines. So, just looking at Philip's comments about, hoping that they move forwards. SayIntentions are not standing still. They are working on so many things at the moment. So I've obviously got a relationship with them, and I've had early access to a few bits and pieces that I can talk about but not show you. And they've talked about them obviously on their blogs. There's a couple of major things coming from SayIntentions which are going to be huge. The first one is Skynet. And yes, apart from the Terminator jokes, what Skynet is going to, I think it's in the summer, they're talking about releasing it, will probably be it's going to be a free service. It's going to take over from the multiplayer aircraft injection in the sim. So if you and a group of friends are running the SayIntentions client with Skynet, which will be free, you'll see each other's aeroplanes, and it will work across 2020 and 2024, so you'll all be able to see each other. The other major thing, which is much bigger, is Open Sky. So Open Sky means that they are going to use that aircraft injection technology to inject or to take over from the AI aircraft in the sim. So they'll be putting the aeroplanes in the sky for you, and the key fact about that is the controllers will know about the other aircraft and your position in relation to them. So suddenly the controllers will be able to give instruction in order to give separation and sequencing between the aircraft going in and out of airports. That's going to be huge for IFR flights specifically. So, when you're coming into a busy airport, they'll be fitting you into the other traffic in the airspace. So there's a few people around that are testing Open Sky for them, and it's going to be amazing. I think it's still quite a way out. It's obviously a huge thing to go build. But I think just for group flights with friends, the MyAir that I regularly fly with, that really taught me the ropes of IFR flight, to be honest, they will be overjoyed to get hold of Skynet when it releases. It will solve so many problems for them. Okay, let's just have a little look at the chart. So we've got a while. You can see we're hurtling towards Cleveland airspace, but we're not there yet. We actually might cross over. Although I don't need to worry now, do I? The co-pilot's going to do the talking for me. If that sim do pair up with SayIntentions, that would be wonderful. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if Microsoft or Asobo brought SayIntentions underneath their wing to integrate them themselves. To in the same way that they did with Working Title. I wouldn't be surprised. Aha, so Brian's part of the team. Fantastic. So yeah, I'm very careful. I did make a slip up a while back that while talking about what SayIntentions had coming, I, during a live stream, inadvertently for about 30 seconds, went and showed the aircraft injection.
Virtual 073, expect the Lining 3 arrival. I'll call your descent in roughly 20 minutes.
Okay.
Expecting the Lining 3 arrival. Awaiting descent instructions in about 20 minutes.
There we
Virtual
go.
73.
That's very cool having the co-pilot talk, isn't it? Right, I'm going to go grab a coffee and I'll be back in time for descent, hopefully. See you soon.
Mountain 8310, contact Boston Center on 125.575.
125.575, Mountain 310.
Cessna 890, contact Boston Center on 125.575.
Center 125.575.
Oh my word. We have quite the gathering forming in the Livestream chat, don't we? So we've got Matthias Koch from PMDG, we've got Brian Crawley from SayIntentions, oh my word. I have to say, the quality control on the PMDG aircraft compared to everybody else out there at the moment, that you're just knocking it out of the park. I actually work in software development myself, so I absolutely appreciate the cost and effort required to test things properly. I'm working on a corporate system at the moment, actually doing a testing project, and it's just, yeah, it's a different world than people ever imagined. Even, you know, testing APIs, doing user interface testing, driving it automatically, obviously, using things like Playwright and stuff like that. But it's been eye-opening learning all about it, and because usually my development history is obviously web development or systems development, but I've never done testing until very recently. Seems quite strange actually, writing software to test software, to do you know, automated unit testing on pipelines in Azure. This must be the curse of if anyone from PMDG turns up and live streams, they're going to get badgered about the 737s in 2024, aren't they? I feel sorry for them, really. Oh my word. You do realise you've just fated that, so now people are going to go and load the aircraft up and try all the lights out in the dark on the ground. But they won't know what they're looking for, will they? Is it light bleed through from somewhere that shouldn't be there or something strange like that? I'm going to make an informed guess. I bet it's the strobe that lights the cabin somewhere. In between where the stairs are, where the crew go up, or something like that. It's a small world, isn't it? So yeah, Brian was in testing as well at some point. It's always interesting, isn't it, when you get talking to people. We should be getting fairly close to top of descent. It's 80 miles out, but then we are doing nearly 500 knots across the ground, so just getting back to SayIntentions, the huge benefit I have seen with SayIntentions over the likes of Beyond ATC is the VFR and the flexibility in it, understanding flexible terms. So they've obviously done an awful lot of work with training the large language model to respond in appropriate ways and to discard things as well. It must be so difficult to test it. Yeah, completely agree with what John has said there in the live stream comments. The quality of the PMDG aircraft in terms of them not just looking great but operating I say correctly, we don't know. We're not professional pilots, most of us, but operating in a predictable, stable manner, a repeatable way that seems correct on the surface, which is what a simulator is all about, isn't it? They are very good. So we ought to go and get familiar with this approach to go and have a look, and so we know what we're expecting when we come in. So we'll be descending down to 10,000 feet at youth, then we're going flying these vectors out at 8,000 feet from Verco, and we'll be expecting vectors from ATC when we get past Leran. If it's quiet, I've seen SayIntentions do this. If there's no other traffic around, they can disregard the flight plan and give you vectors straight towards the feathers. I've seen it do it. It did it at night. So, you know, it disregarded everything and suddenly told me to turn. So for Lobco, for example, from over here.
Virtual 073, contact Boston Center on 124.125.
Switching to Boston Center on 124.125. Virtual 73.
Looking at the comm radio. And she's just done it. That's cool. I like that.
Boston Center, Virtual 73. Good afternoon. Maintaining flight level 320.
See, now the only thing wrong with that,
Boston Center, good afternoon.
and I'm not sure if the sim will let you do it via remote control, would be to put it into the standby frequency and switch it across. See, this has not occurred to me before about using the co-pilot as a training aid, because one of the major hurdles for people learning radio telephony to talk to ATC is using the appropriate language, and this gives you a reference, because obviously the AI co-pilot is talking using the correct terminology and the correct patterns of speech. That's fascinating. So One Journey says missed the live. We're live now. Unless you're talking about something from earlier in the conversation. Oh, so Brian's saying that you can have it prepare it for you. Interesting. So the weather's clearing a little bit anyway, so if we go and have a look around. I say clearing, it's all relative, isn't it? But at least we haven't got 20,000 feet of cloud below us, which we had leaving Providence. So top of descent is coming. So our initial descent.
Virtual 73, Boston Center, contact Cleveland Center on 128.025.
Switching to Cleveland Center on 128.025. Virtual 73.
So is she going to say hello to Cleveland now?
Cleveland Center, Virtual 73. Good afternoon. Maintaining flight level 320.
Virtual 73, Cleveland Center, good afternoon.
Very cool. I will admit, all this automation is wonderful and it's very tricky and clever, but I like doing things myself. And I don't think you maintain your skills if you don't do it yourself. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? because it's very, very impressive having an artificially intelligent co-pilot talking away for you. But there's a danger that you lose skills if you're not doing it. Hi Sarah, I'll take over the radio comms now.
Okay, Jonathan, you're in charge of the comms now.
Cleveland Center, cancel flight following for 2-3 uniform.
2-3 uniform, roger. Radar services terminated. Squawk VFR, frequency change approved.
They've replicated the Kennedy Steve
Squawk
guy.
VFR, frequency change approved. 2-3
You're going to
uniform.
have to tell me what this is all about. I've not heard of this Kennedy Steve guy. Yeah, I was just thinking, Brian, that is a fantastic use of the co-pilot. If you need to step away for 10 minutes and you know you're going to go through a sector change. So Mike Map is asking, is that beyond ATC? No, it's SayIntentions. We're using SayIntentions today. And we're in the new to 2024 Boeing 777-300 ER. The co-pilot is part of SayIntentions, so SayIntentions has the option of several intercom channels as well as ATC. And among the intercom channels you can have the co-pilot, you can have the cabin crew, and you can have a mentor and a tour guide. You can have any two of them at the same time as you talking to ATC. It's a paid mod, yes. It's a subscription-based service. So One Journey is asking, is my link for SayIntentions still available? It is indeed. Let me go find it for you and I'll throw it in. We've got a few miles until we get to top of descent, so I'll be a few seconds. Hang on a second then. View your channel. I should have put it as a link in the notes of the video. I didn't realise today's video was going to be such a wide-ranging chat about all these different subjects. So it's my poor planning that's led us to this point. Or have I not put it in the notes? Let's have a look. More. Yes, there's a link in the notes. So if you open up the notes of the video that you're watching right now, the bottom link, it says I'll be using SayIntentions to provide air traffic, and there's a link in there to go and get 24 hours for free from them. I will admit, SayIntentions has completely transformed the simulator for me. It's made it much. It's simulated the world, you know, a living world. It makes it not quite so lonely and pointless. Obviously, in the past, I've done a lot of group flights, and once you've done group flights, that changes it for you as well. So I fly with a group of guys, as I've mentioned many times, called My Air. And they work by having a couple of people in the group nominate as being air traffic controllers for the evening. So then through a series of Discord voice channels, they simulate being passed from one controller to the next. So everybody flying the group flight flies from this, from one airport to the next, for example. And they are handed off between the controllers along the way. It works really well. But obviously, this provides it whenever you want to do it, versus an organised group flight, which is obviously at the day and time of that they've planned it.
Center, Charter 1521, IFR clearance to CYYZ, ready to copy.
So I should have started descending already, shouldn't I?
Stand by.
So let's go and...
Cleared to Toronto, radar vectors air code, then it's allowed, climb and maintain 8,000, departure on 123.7, squawk 1154.
So we want to come down to 11,000 feet initially. Who are we talking to again? Cleveland Center. Cleveland Center, Virtual 073, beginning descent to 11,000 feet. Okay, what's going on with this? Have I found a way of breaking the aeroplane? Interesting, what is going on? So let's do a flight level change. Does the weather work in this aircraft? Do we have to go and turn it on? Oh, it does work, look, it's showing up. Obviously there's bits of cloud, but we don't know what's inside them, so it's probably worth having it on. Okay, we don't need the stations displayed. That was interesting, wasn't it? VNAV really didn't want to come down. So we're going for 11,000 feet at SEDAB, which is way over here. So we're coming down a little bit steeply, but that's not a problem. If we wanted to control it to the nth degree, to time it, we could go vertical speed and just tune it out a little bit, say 2,000 feet a minute, and see where the green banana gets to. So having begun the descent, we're going to go and...
Virtual 073, descend via lining 3 into Toronto.
At last. Descending via the Ling 3 into Toronto, Virtual 073. Oh, I keep forgetting the seatbelts are on auto, aren't they? So descending, I imagine they'll come back on their own. So, just for a bit of fun on the way in, should we put the intercom back on to show... So we've got co-pilot on channel 1. Rather than have the mentor, let's go and have the cabin crew. Who should we have? Mara from Germany.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your friendly flight attendant speaking. We have now left our cruising altitude and have started our approach to Toronto. At this time, we kindly ask everyone to return to their seats, stow your tables, and fasten your seatbelts. Please note that the usage of the lavatories is no longer allowed. Thank you for your cooperation, and we appreciate your understanding as we prepare for landing.
So I wouldn't worry too much, Matthias. It's probably something I did, but I had VNav on, I selected the altitude, and maybe it was holding altitude, it didn't need to descend yet, but it was just a bit odd. I imagine it's probably me, because I fly so many different aeroplanes, I don't know them well enough to be able to definitively say that there's something I did wrong or not. I always point at myself first. We've got loads of time to come down as well because of the nature of this with the vectors. We've got a long way to come in. So yeah, here we go. Look, the profile's showing up now, and we're obviously below it. So if we went back to VNav now, what will it do?
Virtual 073, 3220 knots.
Oh, did I miss that on the chart? Or is he just asking us? No, there's no 220 mark there. Okay, we can do it though. So we're going to come off of speed control. Oh, we'll have to go for one of the other modes then, won't we? Speed 220 knots, virtual 073. Why do they want us to go so slow? Look at that mouse playing up. It's not the aeroplane, that's me. The mouse has absolutely had it. I'll have to go shopping this afternoon, I think. We could do this by programming this, of course, to put the speeds in. I think it's nice actually to show people sometimes that all the different modes in the mode control panel that you can play with on the way down. So we're aiming to get to our altitude for SEDAB. So we've gone for vertical speed mode. We've also gone for a selected speed. So then the aircraft is just controlling the throttles.
Charlie Victor, we will contact tower when landing. Center 251 Charlie Victor, we are squawking at 1243, mode C.
251 Charlie Victor, you're not under flight following. State your request or contact tower if landing.
1 Charlie Victor, we are requesting ILS approach into runway 23 at Buffalo International.
Okay, so we reduce the range on the navigation display 1 tick. Do it for both the pilot and the co-pilot. That's gone the wrong way, look, that's my mouse again. It's really frustrating. So if anybody's got any tips for really good mouse keyboard combinations to go get, at the moment I've got an Amazon Basics keyboard and mouse on this PC, and yeah, it hasn't lasted very long. The mouse has kind of lunched itself over the last few days. I'm not sure I like the Amazon Basics keyboard layout either. I think I might go back to Logitech and get a decent one from them. We're not slowing down, are we? Let's go and put the spoilers out, and that's why the profile has gone massively out. This is one of the biggest mistakes I often see in group flights where people end up too high and too fast, is because of whatever's going on with the wind on the way in. They don't monitor the speed, and they expect the airplane to perform wonders, and airplanes aren't that clever. So you can see it's bringing it back in line just by throwing the spoilers out for a few seconds. We'll get a warning probably that the spoilers are deployed if we leave them out for too long. So you can see them there. The number of flights I've been on...
Virtual 073, contact Toronto Centre on 124.925.
Contacting Toronto Centre, 124.925, virtual 073. Toronto Centre, virtual 073 with you, descending on the Ling 3 approach into Toronto.
Virtual 73, Toronto Centre identified. Good afternoon, Toronto altimeter 30.09er.
So it's just information only. We don't need to do anything more with that. So coming down towards 10,000 feet. So we're inside 18,000 feet. We should have come off the standard.
Virtual 7-3, Toronto Center, contact Toronto approach on 124.475.
Contacting Toronto approach 124.475, virtual 073. Toronto approach, virtual 073 with you descending to 11,000 feet on the Ling 3 approach into Toronto. Yeah, there's the speed brake warning. We can start to bring it back now. It's fine.
Virtual 73, Toronto approach identified. Good afternoon, Toronto altimeter 30.09er. Expect the ILS runway 5 approach into Toronto.
Expecting the ILS 5 runway approach into Toronto. Runway 5 ILS, I said that backwards, didn't I? Let's clear the cautions so we know if we get any other cautions, what's going on. We've gone now below the profile, which is, yeah, because we're using vertical speed mode, this is always the problem if you go and use it.
FedEx 148, contact Toronto Tower on 118.35.
118.35, FedEx 148 Heavy.
We need to go and find out the barometric pressure at Toronto because it's wrong at the moment. So open the airport, go for the weather, and it's 30.13 or 1020. And that's just warning about speed brakes still. 30.13. There we go. It's fine. Of course I did it twice and that turned it back on again. I'm numpty. One of the default settings on the PMDG aircraft is that these are synchronized, whereas in the real world they wouldn't be. You know, the baro knobs. And yeah, it's synchronized here as well, look. It's just it's a nicety that makes your life easier.
Delta 2323, climb flight level 280.
But you do get to choose whether it's synchronized. Let's clear the messages out on here as well. So once we get past Sedab, we drop down to 8,000 feet for Seagod. Is that different for different? This Link 3 for runway 5. Okay, so we shouldn't really have that chart. Can we get rid of it? No, not without going into the interface. I'm not going to do that, mate. So this is the chart for us. So 8,000 feet at Seagod. I think one of the others was 8,000 feet at Verco, wasn't it? There's a slight difference there. So if we go back to VNAV now, although it's going to go too fast, isn't it? Yeah, it's targeting a faster airspeed, and they've already controlled us and asked us for 220. I didn't know you could do that, so we can leave it on VNAV and still take over selected speed mode. Interesting. So we need the spoilers though to slow back down again. We're getting the speed brake warning again because we're using it during the descent. Let's bring the range down again so we can see this a bit more detail now. So we're going to come down to 8,000 feet. I should have been coming down already, shouldn't I? Flight level change.
Delta 2323, climb flight level 310.
So coming down to 10,000 feet now. Let's go and turn the landing lights on.
WestJet 254, climb flight level 300.
What a difference. Look at the weather.
Level 300, WestJet 254.
After the horrific weather we had leaving Providence, it's cleared up over Canada.
Captain, cabin is ready. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our final approach into Toronto, we kindly ask that you turn off all electronic devices and stow them until we've arrived at the gate. Please ensure your tray tables are put away, your seats are in their full upright position, and your seatbelts are fastened.
Oh, that's because
Our
I went
friendly
flight level
staff will
change, wasn't
provide
it?
you
Of
with
course.
information regarding your connection flights once we are on the ground. Thank you for your cooperation.
Don't need the spoilers anymore. Going to hit 8,000 feet, just about on time. So while we're flying the vectors out, let's go and double check the runway frequencies. So we got 111.95 and 57 degrees. So down here, if this is going to behave itself, there we go, exact match. So holding 8,000 feet. It was this one, wasn't it? So we'll just follow instruction from ATC from this point on. So it's going to be vectors over here, but there's nothing about the descent rate through Darpu. There's no notes on it, is there? No. And there's nothing on the ILS chart either. What were they coming in at 3,000 feet over here? But level into from between Lesod. Okay. So 3,000 feet from Lesod. Let's see if they give us vectors to descend. Be interesting to see what happens. Are they going to tell us to come down to 3,000? So it's saying above 3,000, look, over here, at Lobco. There's no constraints along here, so maybe we can descend. Okay. So how far are they going to take us out? If we go and have a look at our little nav map. Whoops, wrong alt tab there. Let's go and zoom in. And I haven't set it here, have I? So let's go and show the arrival procedure for is it 6 left we're doing? Let's just double check that on the flight. 6 right. Good job I checked. It's that one, isn't it? So I wonder, yeah, this is showing manual, so vectors essentially. Now let's turn the sectors off. They're not of interest to us anymore. It's a busy old map, isn't it? So I'm going to start descending down to 3,000. should we ask ATC about it and see what they say? Who are we actually talking to at the moment? It's Toronto Approach. Toronto Approach, Virtual 073 requesting descent to 3,000 feet on the approach into Toronto.
Virtual 073, descend altitude 3,000 feet, altimeter 30.12.
Descending 3,000 feet, Virtual 073, thank you. Yeah, this is working now, look. I wonder earlier, I just dialed it in early, didn't I? So it didn't want to descend because it didn't need to. Or I'm presuming that's what happened. So their actual instruction, yeah, they didn't tell us to turn, so we're just going to wait for vectors. We should go past Lorannen and get vectors.
Virtual 073, turn right heading 295 vectors for the ILS runway 5 approach.
Turning 295 vectors for the ILS, Virtual 073.
Virtual 073, turn right heading 300. Virtual 073, 9 miles from Dolpa. Turn right heading 355, descend altitude 3,000 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 5 approach.
This is going to be a problem, look, because of this mouse. I can't actually rotate the knob if I go too fast. Turning 355 degrees, Virtual 073. So I'm going to extend the flaps 15 degrees now. And here they come. Turn the head tracking back on so it actually looks. This always makes me laugh that you can click this. Attention to detail. Some developer, I wonder if there's anything else. I wonder if PMDG ever find anything that the devs have put in the aeroplane that they didn't ask for. So we're going to turn in under our own steam to pick up the track. So you can see it there.
1835, Air Canada 669er. You're down.
Air Canada 669er. Contact Toronto Tower on 118.35.
1835, Air Canada 669er.
This is a bit of a lottery, I'm afraid, today, because I cannot rotate this very quickly. And it's going backwards if I roll it too fast. I have a hardware issue in the cockpit. Okay, that's fine. Put ourselves back on an intercept course. Let's turn the head tracking off so it doesn't nod around as I talk, because head tracking tends to do that. Okay, so if we go and turn the landing, we've got the view on this side. Let's go and reduce the range.
Traffic.
We're going to make sure we're on TA only mode, which I think we had throughout the flight actually. Yeah. So we won't respond, the autopilot won't respond to other traffic. Because obviously, SayIntentions has no idea about the other aircraft near us. Which is one of the great things that's going to come with Open Sky.
Traffic.
That's great, isn't it? Let's have a look on the map. So we're coming in towards the ILS feathers, so we should pick up the signal from it fairly soon. We'll see the diamonds appear. There we go. Right on cue, the glide slope appeared. And there's the localizer for the runway center line. We're on a gentle intercept, although we've got a crosswind which is going to keep pushing us away from it, so we could go approach mode at this point. Should we do it? Just to see it work. Put the aeroplane through its paces. So we're in approach mode. You can see up here we've got localizer is showing up on the heading select. So it should straighten itself out. Glide slope is showing up on the VNAV path. So it's all looking good so far. So we're going to go, what speed are we doing? 209 knots. We're still a bit fast for the undercarriage.
Virtual 073, contact Toronto Tower on 118.35.
Contacting Toronto Tower 118.35, virtual 073.
2500.
Toronto Tower, virtual 073 on approach, runway is 6 right. Was it 5 right or 6 right?
Virtual 73, Toronto Tower, negative, runway 5 is active. Wind
6
100
right.
at 10, gusting 17, runway 5 cleared to land.
Runway 6 right, apologies, virtual 073. I've got 6, but they're saying 5. It's the magnetic deviation issue, isn't it? Where the charts say one thing and everything else says something else. So the runway has one number painted on it, and it's known by that number, but it's actually a completely different direction. So here comes the glide slope. Let's see if it captures the glide slope.
Air
correctly.
Canada 1502, contact departure.
Traffic.
Switching to departure, Air Canada 502.
Skyhawk 3 Alpha Zulu, contact departure on 124.475.
And captured. Perfect.
124.475, JetBlue 255.
Toronto Tower, captured glide slope, runway 05, virtual 073.
Virtual 073, roger.
It's going. The autopilot's keeping it incredibly fast. What's it got programmed in here? Okay, it's going to slow down in the final couple of miles. Should we go manual? Have a fly of the aeroplane. So this is me now. It's all going to be my fault. Should we go manual on the throttles as well? Or I think it's quite rare for crew to use manual throttles if they've got the auto throttles available to them. We're going a bit high.
1000.
Still going high.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
Yeah, it's complaining about I haven't done the landing checklist.
Too low,
Again, one set of hands.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
I'm going to turn the auto throttle off.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
Something was wrong there.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
So good job it's a long runway, I'm too fast. I didn't keep an eye on it.
20. 10.
There's something weird going on there. There was no reverse thrust sound. Oh, it just kicked in. How bizarre. Interesting. Maybe there might be a patch afoot for this one.
Virtual 073, welcome to Toronto. Contact ground on 119.1.
Which way should we be turning off? To the left.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Toronto. We have just landed at Toronto Pearson International Airport.
So, a few things went wrong there on approach.
In the spirit of this vibrant city, did you know that
whatever
Toronto
was programmed
is
in
home to
here, the airplane
Tower,
didn't slow down.
one of the tallest freestanding structures in the
So
world.
I ended up.
Also, it's known for its diverse culture.
I didn't have the
and is
flaps
often referred to
down
as the most
far enough.
multicultural city in
But
the
also,
world.
I had to go and throw the anchors
On behalf
out.
of
Basically,
Captain Jonathan,
spoilers.
First Officer Amanda, and the entire crew, we thank you for flying with us today. Please remain seated until we reach the final parking position.
Landing lights
The
off.
local time here is 12 p.m. We hope you enjoy your time in Toronto and look forward to seeing you again soon.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because of the issues I was having with the controls, with the mouse going wrong and things like that, it completely distracted
United
me.
490, contact departure on 127.575.
It just shows you how one thing can lead to another.
127.575, United 490.
We need to go and talk to ground. Contacting ground 119.1, virtual 073. So let's get the chart of the airfield up. Yeah, so that was not my finest hour on landing. I will freely admit that one. Even Navigraph's playing up now. Okay, oh my word. Toronto ground, virtual 073, holding short, Delta 5, requesting taxi to parking.
Virtual 073, taxi to Terminal 1135 via Delta 5, cross runway 24 right, then Delta Tango, Tango 1, Sierra India X-ray. Good day.
Taxi via Delta Tango, Tango 1, Sierra India X-ray, 073. So let's have a look at that in detail. Delta 5, cross runway 24, that's right in front of us. Delta Tango, Tango 1, Sierra India X-ray. So there's Delta Tango. Tango. So where's the actual place we're going to? Terminal 1135 via Delta. Terminal 1. That makes no sense at all. Delta Tango. Tango 1, Sierra India X-ray. There's Sierra. Do you know what? We could ask for the progressive taxi, couldn't we? Yeah, that's a really good idea. Do we have to ask the mentor for that, or do we do it in here in the options? I can never remember all this stuff. So, auto-tune, there's the identity, controls, multiplayer, intercom, MISC. I don't want to go into these tabs. This is where my ineptitude at knowing exactly what options are in here shows up. It's in the pilot portal. Okay. Well, I'm being distracted here off camera. That mouse is really broken, isn't it? This is quite cool. I've not noticed this before, that you can have the persona information. Very clever. Okay. Never on request. Okay, so do I have to save that, or has it got some JavaScript doing it? No, I have to save it. Toronto ground, virtual 073, requesting taxi assist. And you can see the arrows there already, actually. So if I carry on the way
Virtual 073, taxi to A1A via Delta 5, cross runway 24 right, then Delta Alpha Alpha Golf. Good day.
So parking brake is off. I can see the arrows already. So if we do this from outside. Oh no, maybe we don't. Okay, why is that not working? I mean, we know generally where we're going anyway. Requesting progressive taxi 073. I've never played around with some of these assistance tools. I've just used the ATC. This is interesting.
Virtual 073 turning on a taxi path for you. Taxi to C34 via Delta 5, Charlie Alpha Alpha Kilo 5. Good day.
Okay, where is it? Is it behind us? Interesting. Yeah, I think it probably does need an app restart. Let's try it. So if we just, to finish this off, if we go shut down SayIntentions and open it up again, I wonder if it needs a sim restart to have that option working as well. Because it's going to inject three-dimensional structures into the sim, isn't it? Requesting progressive taxi. This is turning into a test session like my flights typically tend to, isn't it?
Virtual 073 turning on a taxi path for you.
No, it's not working today, unfortunately. So we're going to go and just park up. For whatever reason, it's not playing ball. So pick a gate, any gate, because we're not going to follow the instruction. One that preferably doesn't have an airplane at it, but that might be a bit of an ask. I think we can go here, can't we?
Delta 2323, pushback approved. Face south.
Okay, so in terms of shutting the airplane down, we can go and tell them we're on the blocks,
2323.
but it's not a required communication. So we're going to go to ground operations. We're going to put the chocks in place.
Delta 2323, pushback complete. Taxi to runway 6 right via Alpha Juliet Sierra. Cross runway 33 right, then Echo Delta. Delta 8, cross runway 06 left, then Delta 10.
Turn the seatbelts off.
Delta 2323, Toronto ground readback correct. Continue taxi to runway 6 right.
Hydraulics
Bypass
off.
pin inserted. Just let me know when you're ready to start the pushback.
And fuel pumps off.
Cockpit to ramp. I'm ready to start and pushback, please.
And I think that's pretty much it. Adiru off.
Delta 2323, pushback and engine start approved. Face south.
Batteries on. We can go for external power.
Brakes released. I'm ready for pushback. Thank you.
Okay, so we're pretty much done with the flight. So that was interesting. So obviously it wasn't my finest hour on approach. That's again just being distracted. And there's an interesting section. There's a book on the shelf behind me that talks about human factors in aviation, and when you are doing too many things at once, there's this thing called saturation that kicks in, and that was what was going on there. I was looking at things that had been wrong earlier, wondering if they were correcting themselves. And remember I mentioned earlier when we came around and said we're going very fast, and I had a look at the FMC.
Park and brakes released. I'm ready for pushback.
It should have been slowing down to sort of 160, 170 knots here, and it didn't. So that's at the point I went and switched off the auto throttles, pulled the throttles back to idle, but I hadn't got the flaps down far enough at that point. So there was a whole catalogue of things that I did wrong
Phoenix's information whiskey
that caused the situation
Clearance on request.
to
Stand by.
occur. So we should have been stabilised out here with full flaps gear down.
Phoenix vehicle pup for departure.
And we didn't. I was watching the speed thinking I can't get the flaps down because we're going too fast. But that's probably on me for not checking the legs ahead of time and making sure the speeds looked appropriate. But yeah, it was interesting. There's always so much to learn in every flight you do in these aeroplanes that makes the next flight better. And that's the way I tend to look at it. And you end up building up more and more knowledge about what you should be doing at which phases of flight, and maybe not watching the live stream comments so much, and maybe concentrating on what you're doing helps as well. So yeah, Brian's saying ignore the edited world. Oh, that really does wind me up when you see even some of the pro pilots and you see cuts in their videos. The best one I've ever seen with an edit wasn't Flight Sim, it was Top Gear. Nigel Mansell did the star in the reasonably priced car. The registration number of the car changed halfway round his lap. Go and find it on YouTube, see if you can spot it. They may have even re-recorded it by now, but when Nigel Mansell did his lap in the car on Top Gear, he obviously smashed the car up. And then halfway around his lap, the registration number changed. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That was good fun. We'll have another crack at that another day. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know yet. But like I said, there's always so much to learn. And that's the fascinating thing for me, is there's just so much to all of this that you never feel like you know it inside out. There's always things to react to, and the procedural stuff as well. Once you layer all these things on top of each other, it's really fascinating. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all again soon. If you haven't subscribed to the blog, I'll just go and open it up in a browser. So everything I do to do with the flight sim ends up in this blog. So this will be on there in a few moments. If you subscribe by email for free, that means you get a nice email whenever I post to it, and you get a notification. So thanks ever so much to Brian as well there for the tip on the channel. Much appreciated. I'll see you all again soon. Take care.